Good evening and welcome to the Manchester United agenda, the night after the day before. Possibly some combination of those words. I'm not sure. I'm absolutely knackered. I've broken my phone charger. What's going on Yabba?
Yeah, I'm disappointed, isn't it? The result really hurt. And the performance, even though when you look at the data, it looks like it could have been an even game. We don't want to lose to Liverpool any time, anywhere. Even in the friendly in pre-season, we lost 3-0. But it hurts every time. So I'm looking forward to sort of analysing what went wrong and what Slot was talking about as well, because obviously there's been a lot of comments coming out, a lot of talk about Man United. So let's get into it.
Right, should we see who we've got here tonight then? First off, we've got We Deserve Better with very constructive comments. So he gives us a toss, what Slot says. We've got Stephanie. You're back again, Steph. I hope you're doing well. United assisting Liverpool to an easy win. Angry face. Speaking of angry faces, it's Solo. Big up, everyone.
Hi, Solo.
And sorry?
Just saying hi, Solo.
Hi, Solo. We've got Bruno saying like, share, subscribe, share on X, and make sure to quote, not just repost, make it funny. And of course, we've got Matty Bassett, bigging us all up. Used to be the king of the kebabs, isn't anymore, I believe. Let us know how diet and pre-season's going, Matty. Yeah, so I suppose just before we get into it, Yabba, have you changed your mind on anything from yesterday after a sleep and some time to reflect? Or
I think I just need a few more days before I really sort of assess it, because I've been getting pelters. I'm quite big on social media and groups, and I put myself out there and predict stuff about Man United, and I'm getting backlash right now. So everyone's on my case. I take a deep breath, say, okay, is it really that bad? And I'm still Ten Hag in for now, and I don't think it's that bad. We experienced this last season, losing to Liverpool, very good side. So I haven't changed my mind on Ten Hag just yet, but I need more time to really assess it. So by ask me at the end of the week.
All right. Well, I have some things that Ten Hag has done differently, so it might give you some sort of positive ammunition to continue to delude yourself with.
Yeah, it does give it away, doesn't it? I mean, yeah. Just ask. I'm going to fire it back at you, Bath. How do you feel? Has something changed since yesterday?
For me, not really. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but a very long time ago, I did a video on Ten Hag's first game, and I was just absolutely stunned at some of the things that he was doing.
I do remember.
And I watched it again the other day, just to see if I'd learned anything, to be honest. And I couldn't believe that we still had the same problems. And what I think has happened is that many years ago, Jose tried to get a job at Barca. Like, he'd been the translator there, and he went up with a presentation against Pep and so on. And they went like, nah, we're going to go with Pep. And before that, Jose, he always had defensive principles, but his Chelsea teams were really attacking and stuff like that. And I felt he just completely changed himself because of that experience and became more negative, transitional, like counter-attack based football, which for me is perfectly fine. But he began to try and dominate teams without the ball. And I always felt it was a reaction to losing the Barcelona job because of his stubborn nature. And I feel that maybe something similar is happening to Ten Hag, like a kind of sunk cost fallacy, where it's now about proving that his philosophy is right rather than a sort of pragmatic approach. Okay, just one negative thing before we go on. This will be the last time I tell you this, Bruno. You are not allowed to role play as a representative of Manchester United Football Club on this channel. Please stop. And to do on a more fun note, it's Subvids. Good evening to you. We Deserve Better. What are you saying? Following an early season run of 6 defeats and 2 draws in 8 games, Banner declaring 3 years of excuses and it's still crap. Ta-ra, Fergie was displayed at Old Trafford. Are you still extremely positive on ETH? We Deserve Better, because Matty Bassett, he's got zero faith. Oh no, Matty. I'm so sorry. I was invited round to my best mate's home to watch the game. He's a Liverpool fan. Did anyone have a worse day than me? Oh, and hello to Agile Beast. Talking about, oh, of course, because the real Bruno got a contract, didn't he? Anyway, right. We've got a lot on tonight, and I want to do this quickly because I need to go to bed. Right. Welcome to my pressing TED Talk today. Yabba. All right. This is, don't worry, this will be quite quick. This is just something that I think is really misunderstood about the philosophy of positional football. Okay. It's essentially about structures that let you control football games, right? That means occupying zones and being in shape will allow you to be able to attack when you're defending and to defend when you're attacking. And you might say this, like, Darius, what a load of bollocks.
No.
The ball and the man is the most important thing on the pitch. But we've illustrated it for years, Yabba. Like, you have counter press structures and rest defenses when you're attacking so that you're also able to defend. And then you have a rest attack and a press when you don't have the ball, so you're still able to threaten the goal. Structures allow teams to defend well with the ball and be dangerous without it. And it's really, really important. So at all times in a football match, when you're attacking, you're also defending. And when you're defending, you're also attacking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any issues with that?
No, I agree with that. I mean, like they say, sometimes when you lose, you really win. It's the same thing applies, you know. I think you do need, in modern football. Well, it's a game, you know, of what's that old game? Battleships. It's about zonals and
the game of kings.
Yeah, battleships or chess. All these games. When you really break it down, it has to be like that. You have to be prepared for a counter, like with boxing as well. So when you're throwing a punch, you always put yourself in a defensive posture just in case there's a counter. So I agree.
Yeah.
Philosophy with sports.
It's like when you see people street fighting and stuff, like they're just flailing their arms about and they've got no shape, no balance.
Exactly.
Very similar to Manchester United.
Yeah.
And his Bart, good evening all. I didn't troll yesterday as the room was fresh. We appreciate that very, very much, Bart. But I was going to message you for shouting at you, but then I remembered that you hadn't read the message that I'd sent you anyway. So, you know, I'm not sending messages in a bottle. Okay, what have I got here? Yes. So this is what Slot said. All right. Last season, Manchester United were man marking it on the midfield. He means in the midfield. And they had a press with 7 and 11, the wingers. So with the striker and one of the wingers jump with him. This season, they're using more of a 9-10 press, so they're in a 4-4-2. Their style is also their fullbacks are really high, and then Casemiro comes in between. So if you pick the ball up and you can keep Diaz and Salah high, then you're constantly in 1v1s. Now, I know everyone on social media has gone mental about this, but what are your thoughts on this, Yabba?
I haven't been around and read or seen much. I've only saw the game last night. Haven't read the comments. First time I'm seeing these comments for the first time. I did hear about it. That he sort of talked about our press, and I did hear just on the radio when I was driving to work that someone was saying that he sussed, like basically saying, "Oh, he sussed us out already. It's so we don't have a style." You know, all the usual cliches that come out about. Our manager doesn't have a style of play, and now that we do have a style of play, we changed it. It's been read already, and he doesn't know how to counteract that during the game, sort of thing. So that was on the radio on my way to work, and you know, so I haven't really had time to sort of assess what he's been said. So it's the first time really reading what Slot has said.
Okay, well, it's I've removed some of the stuff he said because he was also nice about United and Ten Hag, as you'd expect. Like about how this new system, they're working harder, they look more compact and things like that. So he wasn't out there like Sam Allardyce was when he beat Pep that day and was gloating about out-tacticing him. But had a cracking joke from Matty McMatterface. Matty Bassett heard transfer rumours that you were giving up the kebab door and moving to Saudi to play in the Salad League. Very nice, although important to eat healthily. All right. So the first thing that I want to show you is what a 7 and 11 press, a press with the wingers, is. Okay. So if you just bear with me for a moment while I press a series of buttons, and hopefully my mouse works. Okay, cool. It's not in. There we go. Here we go. Okay, so I'll just run this through once, Yabba, and you can talk us through it. But this is your standard winger and striker press.
Okay.
Gone wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that look familiar?
Kind of looks like us, I imagine. No, hold on.
Yes.
Kind of, yeah. So is this last season?
Last season.
This is us last season, would be, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's definitely different to what we're doing now. But yeah, so we've got single pivot there. So you talk about the 9's gone to press and they jumped. So you got, like you're saying, about jumping onto the next guy. If you just run it slightly, so the 9's pressed, the 11's gone to the 4, the 2's gone to the fullback. So there's they've jumped on here, and then one ball has left us vulnerable. With that move, this 8 has created a gap for number 6 to break it. Yeah, and we've seen that many times, being in that position where teams run at us and there's no midfield, so that made us quite vulnerable.
Okay, so the key thing is to watch the 6, because what this is, right, is that the number 9 is conditioning the pitch. So he's shutting down the right-hand side or the left-hand side, and the opposite winger is then joining in with the press. And then everyone man marks. United last season had a ridiculously strict man marking policy, and we got done over and over again because of what teams were doing to players like Casemiro and Kobe. So if you look at the number 6, this is what was happening last year.
Number 9.
Our number 6.
Number 6, yeah.
So he locks on to the 8.
Yeah. Okay.
8 pulls him. And as that happens, our defence have to drop. And you've all seen this so many times. That why aren't there enough people in the middle? You know, where's the midfield gone? It's just one guy by himself, or there's no one there. It was because of this press that we were using, in my opinion. As well, obviously, as sometimes players just do stupid things.
Great example of this was when we played Spurs last season. We were doing all right. Second half, he put Maddison to drag Casemiro out of the midfield, and suddenly there's a big void in midfield, and the manager made that adjustment just like that, and then we were killed in the second half.
Yeah, and this move of the far side winger coming blindside, I think we conceded 3 goals in a row to it against Spurs, Nottingham Forest, and maybe Fulham. But it was a standard manoeuvre against us, and it is essentially teams manipulating our press, and that goes back to what we were talking about how you have to have a structure to defend when you're attacking, and a structure to attack when you're defending. That is what positional football is, essentially. I'll just see if we've had any fun comments. Fergie's also first 3 years, signed a lot of players. Oh, Jim Leighton. That didn't go down well with it, did it?
Well, yeah. These players were all ready to go. Weren't players we needed to develop. They were already sort of in their prime-ish.
Well, some of them, I mean, like the majority of them are very, very good players who had very good careers and did well for us.
But they didn't come as developing players. He needed a fix. He brought in ready-made players. Neil Webb, England international. Mike Phelan, Norwich player. Gary McAllister playing for Middlesbrough. Paul Ince, West Ham boy on the up. He was about to be a star. Mark Hughes signed back from Barcelona. You know, Brian McClare, top goal scorer in Celtic, comes to us, scores goals. Danny Wallace, renowned Premiership for top flight player with Southampton. So they were all like in their mid-20s or ready to go and proper pros.
Well, speaking of proper pros, Matty Bassett kebab night is twice a month now. Good for you. I have 4 pizzas a year, and they're the best night of the year, to be honest. It's like, all them hippies that go to Stonehenge to welcome in the summer solstice.
Yeah.
I go to Domino's. James, his in-game management is awful and clueless. We can get onto that a little bit later. And Bart got a question about Slobosai and McAllister spelt wrong, guarded Gravenberch. You'll see all of this in a second. All right. So if we remember, that was Slot talking about the 7 and 11 press. Okay. Now we're using a 9 and 10 press. So we're more in a 4-4-2 block. And of course, I've got an example of this press. If you would like to see it, Amonde.
Yeah.
Sorry, Yabba.
It's okay.
Let me just. That's the wrong one.
Previous one was last season, and we can see how exposed we were. So hopefully, you want to see some improvement with this press that we are going to see.
Oh
now.
Dear. Hang on a second. I might not.
So yeah,
I have got it. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, boys and girls. You can see that I'm operating at peak.
Hope you guys are feeling better than yesterday.
Okay, of course, that's the wrong one. This is the right one. Yeah. Okay. So you can already see that the structure's a little bit different here, Yabba, with the position of the wingers, and we have the 9 and the 10. So I'll just play this and we'll go through it. Okay. So are you ready?
Yep. Okay.
That's it.
Good graphics.
Okay. Do you understand what's going on here? Because it's probably very similar to a back 4.
So this is what we've been seeing this season.
Yeah.
Especially. And we had Mount and Bruno. Now we've got Zerchi and Bruno. They're the 2, and they're quite narrow. So we kind of protecting the middle. And then you got Kobe and Casemiro behind them, and narrow, wide guys as well, tucked in. So it's like inviting them to try and play through us. But if they played into that zone, like number 6, for example, we would have players in and around them to sort of pinch the ball. So you're looking at the number 5, the white shirt. Where's he going to play it to? The 6 is cut off. That's dangerous. If he plays it wide to the 2, Rashford can sort of get in around them. And it's sort of, I think it's makes us more secure doing it like this way, because you can't play it. If you play it to the 6 is going to get munched. Hopefully, that's the plan.
Okay, let me just check if I've made a slide for what this is, or if I just have to explain it off the top of my head. Get in. Okay, I did make the slide. Right, 9 and the 10 press. This is what I call the chain press, or what I was taught to call it. Okay, so remember, it's a press. It's not a block. So the intent behind a press is always to force your opposition to do something that they don't want to do, and allow you to regain the ball. But the key thing is that you are positioning yourself primarily based off your teammates. Okay? This is so that your structure is protected in the midfield. So you're not. So the idea is you're completely correct. You don't allow them to play through the center unless you want them to, because it's suited to pressing traps in central locations and wide locations. It's also, I have played it. It's extremely difficult because you're always reacting to your teammates and not what's going on around you.
Right. So
you can get holes very, very easily. So I'll show it again now that we kind of understand that this is a press that is focused on keeping the structure. So it is wildly different. from what we played last year. Wildly different. So present screen. So you can see this, yeah?
Yep. Yeah, enlarge here. Brilliant. Okay.
So did you see they're not reacting to the movement around them? They're protecting the area whilst squeezing.
Right.
Yeah?
Yep.
Have you got anything to say on this?
Well, I just think Liverpool played. I felt that it played with Gravenberch and McAllister quite as a double pivot. So whereas the 6 looks like a single pivot there, maybe the 10 would have been deeper if that's Gravenberch.
Yeah, this isn't reflective of Liverpool. This
Okay.
is just this is just showing what a chain press is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's about keeping your shape whilst pressing.
Yeah.
And it's in contrast to the 7-11 press or the winger press, where there's a man marking system. So this is actually a zonal system of pressing as opposed to a man marking system. So last year, teams were ripping us apart because their pivots were going into wide areas like you talked about with Maddison. Mm-hmm. This year, we should be more secure in the centre of the pitch because we're primarily organising ourselves around our teammates rather than the opposition.
So the shape has just remained the same. It's just gone up 10 yards.
So they've kept in shape. As Xerxes moves across, all of them have to keep the distances and the lines. Do you see?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'll stop there. We can do some comments. Right. Can we play 3-1-6 build up with Casemiro in his physical decline? His passing is low to mid, 80% at best. We can, but the 3-1-6 is a sort of, I wouldn't say it's an emergent structure, but you play the 3-1-6 in very specific situations. I'll give you an example of it later, Agile Beast, because it's something that we're going to come on to. I hope that Casemiro has just had a bad day, to be honest, but it's been a bad week, a bad month, a bad year for him. There's a pattern there, isn't there? So my point is, even with all those signings, even Fergie was woeful first 3 seasons and without any trophies too. Yes, of course. Like that. I mean, it's a long time ago. I understand the similarities. I just want to know if you're still fully behind Eric Ten Hag, or maybe having a wobble or whatever. It's like I don't disagree with anything you said. The hexagonal web around Casemiro. Darius the Serious has spoken. The arrogant ruler is now the dictator of all fun as well as serious football talk. I am out. There we go. And big up to Bath Time for sharing these analysis. Never played the game since leaving school, so really useful helping me understand the game and tactics. Thank you very much, Matty McBackface. I'm glad that someone enjoys it. And if you are watching and you're not enjoying the show, I am a dictator of all fun, so I'm going to demand that you press the like button and the subscribe button. And if you like Matty and you're just enjoying it, please press like and all that. It really helps the channel out. All right. So we've gone now, Yabba, through the difference in how we've set up this season as opposed to last season. I personally, I'm not a huge fan of the chain press. I obviously played at a very, very, very different level to these boys, but I think, from my experience, it's really easy to pry apart the longer the game goes on, because you naturally lose your shape and you're reacting to your teammates. Sometimes they're not always switched on and things like this. Tell me what you're thinking about this new tactical style.
I actually like it because it does protect us. We've been a bit more secure. I know we've got minus goal difference, all that. We've played Liverpool, who opened us up again eventually. And there were good goals by individual mistakes. But I just think you have to work on these things. Like you said there, it's going to take some time. you can sort of fade throughout the game, but that's what subs are for. And I think they're professional players, and if they can get it right, then we've got another chance. It looks similar. Obviously, we talked about the box midfield before. When you got two players like Ugarte, maybe, and Kobe, and then ahead of them you'd have Bruno and Xerxes, all good technical players who fit that box system as well. So there's another bonus because a lot of teams are playing that as well. So if we could be adapt to it, I think we've got the players and the personnel to do it pretty well.
Okay. Well, we've got Steph who's popped in to say hello to us all. Hello, Steph. I hope you're doing well. And another boy who's popped in is Tyrone Williams with one of the worst takes ever. Can anyone remember when Schweinsteiger signed for Manchester United? A quality midfielder like Casemiro, but a few years too late. Agreed. United used to sign quality in their 20s. Are you keen? Yes. Carrick? No. In my opinion, like one of the most overrated footballers I've seen play for Manchester United. Dreadful. But anyway, I know that that's a hot take, but it is in line with my McTominay takes, I guess. So consistency. All right. So where were we? This is the 9-10 press. Now, if you remember, Slot said their style is also their fullbacks are really high, and then Casemiro comes in between. We've spoken about this many, many times on the channel. This is something that is over 30 years old, called La Salida Levolpiana. Okay, it was done by a guy called Levolpe, I think in Argentina, but it might come from Mexico. I'm not sure. But it's very, very simple. It is where the CDM drops in between the two centre-backs and the full-backs get forward. All right? But this is the key thing. In the same way that I think Agile Beast talked about 3-1-6, you can only get the numerical advantage if you're playing against a 2 and not a 3. So would you like an example?
Yeah, please.
Just 1 second. Get big here. Okay. Oh, brilliant. I haven't loaded my pen up. Okay. Do you see the 6 has dropped back? Like, is this moving on your screen, the football?
Yeah. The football's moving, yeah.
Okay. So you can see here that the 6 has dropped back to make a back 3. Okay. Yeah?
Yeah.
So if the 9 comes in to apply pressure and the 10 comes here, either the 8 or the 10 can drop in and receive the ball. Mm-hmm. Because there's always going to be one more pass because there's a 2 against 3.
Yeah.
And in theory, the 2 are always going to look to protect the centre, right?
Yeah, true.
So what you see here is a 3-4-3, basically, where we're +1 at the back, we're equal in the midfield, and we're a man down up front, but that's perfectly normal. But because these guys can't realistically stop us getting the ball through the lines, it's going to force them to drop back. And then as the 6 goes into the midfield, we then get a +1 in the midfield. So it's very sort of numerical-based football. Is that making sense so far?
Yeah, seen that yesterday with Casemiro dropping in, didn't you?
Yes, and you'll often sometimes see if Casemiro, say, was playing at 6, over the years you'll all have seen Eriksen and Bruno coming in, suddenly being like the third centre back. Right, and that is basically to allow progression past the first line of pressure, which is the 9 and the 10. Yeah, are we all good? All good with that? Now the key thing here is the position of the centre of the fullbacks. They are where they are for 2 reasons. One is you can never ever be ahead of your pivot because you see this pass here at the 45-degree angle.
Right.
I would expect everyone to be able to play that pass. Stephen Hawking, everyone should be able to play that pass. Robocop, all of them. Yeah. This pass here, at any level of organised football, don't play that pass.
Mm-hmm.
All right, just don't play it. You Well, you very, very rarely see proper footballers playing that pass. So the key thing is, right, is that when you're playing this system, your fullbacks can't get ahead of your pivot, because if they get ahead of the pivot and the pivot receives with his back to goal and a man on him, and your fullback is out here, it doesn't, and there'll always be a guy here. You can't play that pass.
Yeah.
But if the fullback is here, you should be able to play that pass. Okay. So are we all good on La Salida La Volpiana and how important it is that your fullback never gets ahead of you as a pivot when you're building up?
Yeah, most certainly.
Yeah. Do you remember my mate Kay, my left back?
Yes.
He has learnt this over the years after I've gone mental at him every game. If he gets ahead of me, I'm really being beastly with him. But it's honestly so important and like Matty, I think, is a midfielder. Make sure your fullbacks aren't doing this because it kills you. Like, if they don't look bad, you look bad.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So have we got any? Oh, we got Steph is going off. I like it when Steph talks football. Defensively, Bruno and Mainu are poor, so Agati will have his work cut out. Interesting. What I would say to you, Steph, is are they poor because they're unathletic, ill-disciplined, something with them? Or are they poorly suited to the structure, or is it the structure that's poor? Because what I do agree with is I don't think there's a player in world football that can come in and save you from poor structure, like defensively.
Good point. That's a good point.
I mean, like maybe Kante or Prime Patrick Vieira.
No.
Like I don't know. Like, I mean, you put Messi in like Kettering Town and they'll get promoted, but I don't know what defender can go in and sort a team out. FB are high and wide, correct? Too high and wide. Like, it's fine for them to be wide, but they can't be that high. I think the fact. Oh, Miss Griffiths, you have completely front-run one of my observations that I will be talking about later. The fact that we have no left-footed left-back, I think that is becoming a massive, massive issue in the team. And I'm going to try and demonstrate it later. But you do know your stuff, Steph. It's so risky. If we lose the ball, it's 5-on-3. Another great point, Agile, that I forgot is that if you're ahead of the ball and it's lost, you're out of the game. You're relying on your teammates to slow the play up, force it out wide, something like that. I shouldn't have missed that, Yabba, should I? But I always talk about that, but I didn't.
We've talked about it in the past, but it's great observations. Good, well done, Ajabi's. That's big. That's
big, yeah. Okay, Matty, my team operate: one goes, one stays, and tucks inside to create a back three. Perfect. That's proper football. When you're in possession, I assume. Not that your fullback does what one of mine did and just left the game randomly because he'd forgotten to do something. Both don't tackle and lethargic getting back. Well, Mainu's won a lot of duels this year. I agree with you. He's unathletic, like compared to other players in the Premier League. Bruno, he's very good going forwards, isn't he? All that running, but you don't see a lot of that running backwards. So, anyway, all right, where were we? Okay, so when we go back to Slot's comments, because Liverpool play with a 3/4, and we're using a 3 at the back to build up, if we lose the ball, it's 3-on-3. And that's what he means from the 1v1. So just to review everything, Yabba, we've gone from a crazy man marking press that used to leave our defence completely exposed and a huge hole in the middle of our midfield. It looked like Godzilla had fallen in there at the end of one of his films. Just destruction everywhere. Now we're using what I call a chain press, but it is basically a combination of your teammates, where your teammates are, and a zonal press. And it's designed to keep your shape and your compactness in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah.
Slot highlighted that United use la salida la volpiana, and that leaves them very, very vulnerable against teams that are pressing with more than 2 up front.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And one feature I think that we can all agree on is that a lot of Eric's tactics depend on the ball never being lost, in my opinion. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's true. You don't expect it, to lose the ball if you're doing things. This is always theory stuff, isn't it? But in practice, it's not kicking off. It's not happening.
Well, if we go back in practice, you've got to be thinking defence when you're attacking, and everyone gets really mad about Bruno losing the ball and stuff like that. But what annoys me the most, right, is that with players like Kevin De Bruyne, Özil, Bruno, who else are those sort of creative things? Like, imagine if when Beck's got the ball and he crossed it, if we didn't score, we were defending crazy transitions. Do you know what I mean? You have to be set up to be able to lose the ball, and that's my frustration with one aspect of the system, is that there's so much pressure on everyone to keep the ball, and some players are just zero-sum players. It's either a great ball or it's not, mm-hmm. and you have to be able to deal with that, because those are the players that can win you games. But anyway, all right. With all that we've learned so far, would you like to see some stuff from the game?
Yeah. You got animation?
Of course I got animations.
Bring it up. Animation.
I know you do, don't imagine if we weren't able to do these animations and we were just sitting here talking about it.
It'd be hard to explain without the animation, I think.
Yeah.
To see it makes a world of difference.
All right. I've just invited someone instead of pressing present. All right, let's go. Move you. Okay. This is the 5th minute, Mr. Forbes. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, throw in.
So it's Robinson with a throw. He throws it back to Van Dijk, who plays it square to Konate. He switches to play over to Trent. We shuffle over as a team, and it goes back. They're playing it with a 3-man defence here, and Van Dijk plays a lovely ball between the lines as we try to do that chain press. And they get a shot on goal, which goes in, but obviously it was disallowed. So it's Van Dijk who ended up, they're probing here, and we're trying to do this chain press, as Barthelme mentioned earlier, but it's Van Dijk who played the ball between the lines, straight into Gravenberch, who get him behind, and a chance was created, and the goal was scored, but it was disallowed.
Yeah. Okay, talk to me about the good stuff that you see here.
The good stuff is with compact, with tight, it's just that they're playing it around, probing. The bad, I'm just surprised that ball got through them players. I think we should have a bit more pressure on the centre-back to avoid all that. But you have to say it's a great pass by Van Dijk to play in between the lines like that. Beat 2-3 men. Bruno's, here we go. Gravenberch just peeled off. Is that the interior position? I don't know. What is? Yeah. And then,
okay. Well, we'll have a look.
Yeah.
All right. So what I like about this is that from a throw-in, we're a little bit disorganized, which is okay, but we're going to get back into shape. So the 6 that we're using in the chain are Xerxes and Bruno, and then Rashford, Kobe, Casemiro, and Garnacho. So first of all, we're going to see if those guys can get back into position. They've recovered now.
Yep.
That's good. Okay. Like Rashford's the guy who's gone out to Trent there. So Xerxes has actually cut, even though it looks like Xerxes is on Gravenberch was in Xerxes' zone because it's a zonal system, and he's gone across to do. So this is all fine. Now, this is the problem here, is with Bruno Fernandes. As the ball goes to Virgil van Dijk, he goes. He's not aware of where everyone else in the chain is,
Yes.
and he's put too much pressure on Xerxes, and also Rashford can get absolutely done here by Trent if Virgil knocks that over the top. Okay, because Rashford is running towards the ball and he's not going to be able to recover. And he leaves a 2-on-1, Salah, Trent, Dalot. Not good. So Bruno has kind of broken out of the chain here, which is one of the big issues with the chain press. Xerxes tries to cover, and instead of blocking the pass inside, Xerxes gets greedy and thinks that Van Dijk's body shape is sending it to Konate. So he opens it up, and Kobe is on the wrong side, unfortunately. He's got to be tighter, and so on. But the problem is that a combination of Bruno's, I don't know what you'd call it. Let's just call it like excitability, and Xerxes kind of cheating a little bit here or trying to get an advantage has allowed that ball through. And look at that, and then we're cut.
Yep.
And that's what happens when you lose the organisation. This is the 5th minute that this happens. And then obviously the goal is offside. Let's just pretend it's good play from Mazraoui. But this is what Slot was talking about how because we're using a 9 and a 10 press, their game plan was to manipulate it on the inside. And all game, Van Dijk basically was telegraphing a pass to Konate.
Yeah.
They were looking for this all game, and it caught Kobe out at this time. But we basically have a problem with the chemistry between Xerxes and Bruno at the moment.
The first game together.
Obviously.
Yeah, come on.
Obviously, right?
Yeah.
But this is something that we need to keep our eye on, because they're going to get dropped if they can't do this properly. This is more important than scoring goals, to be honest. They've got to be able to block balls into the centre, or our game model falls apart, completely falls apart.
You're saying this, so Xerxes, they've got to be aware of the chain, and so Xerxes should have. But Bruno should try and anticipate by pushing on and not looking around. Maybe if we're in the chain at the time, and Xerxes kind of just needs to block it coming down the middle, the pass through the middle.
Yes,
should be happy for it to then play it about the defense, but don't let it play through the middle. So
So what I'm saying is here, Bruno should be scanning here to see what the state of the chain is, and he should understand he can't go right. You can't put pressure on the ball here. Because the reason why is you don't have access to it without breaking your structure. But Bruno, he doesn't know his distances. He goes, and Xerxes now, he's got a choice of what does he do? Does he break the chain? Does he try and recover it? Like, what's going on? But Van Dijk does him, because Van Dijk makes his mind up, which isn't what should be happening here. Xerxes should be forcing Van Dijk into doing something, and so should Bruno. But Bruno's too far away, and Van Dijk opens his body up, and it looks like an obvious pass to Konate. And Gravenberch has got basically behind and between, and that is 2 lines of pressure cut out because the 9 and the 10 have got it wrong. And this is what happens in the Premier League. Like, this is really. It's really elite level stuff that's going on, and you will get punished repeatedly for it. So, are we happy with that? Or is there anything you'd like to say?
Good stuff.
All
it's
right.
not all doom and gloom, though. I don't think it's just highlighting how the chance created, and that they need to work on this.
Well, it's kind of like, I suppose what I'm trying to point out is like, it's a lot of work has got to go into this.
Yeah, good.
Like, the signs are there, but a lot of work has to go into it. So let's see what people are saying. The question to ask, if hypothetically we had Haaland yesterday, would he have scored a hat-trick? Yes. Xerxes, in my opinion, should have got a hat-trick. 1 was a tap-in, One's an easy header. The other one, the curler that Alisson tipped around the post, I think a Manchester United striker should score that. I understand it's a hard chance, but with the standards of the club and the players that we've had, I'd expect a Manchester United striker to score it. But you look at our strikers in Rasmus and in Xerxes, might be a bit unfair to say that they should be scoring that, because Xerxes, he did a perfectly reasonable shot. Did nothing wrong with it. I just think that a top striker scores that. We have Vincent Bullock. Hello, Vincent. I hope you're doing well. Rashford needs to be running back. No, he doesn't, Agile Beast. He needs to be running forward because it's a press, not a block. So the idea of the press is to squeeze the pitch. So Rashford Ashley's defensive work is really good there. It's Bruno that is the problem. Like, Bruno's the first problem there. Right. Bruno is the captain. So feels everything has to go through him. Always in the referee's ear and always 100 miles per hour. Irritating to watch. It's irritating when we lose, but I mean, you think about the amount of times he's won us games or dug us out of somewhere hard. Like, I do think that the hate for Bruno is a little bit over the top, but he definitely has issues that he's got to start demonstrating that he's learning about off the ball stuff. Because I don't know if you remember, but during lockdown, we got beaten up by Liverpool, I think. And a lot of it was because Bruno just kept running at Alisson and taking himself out of the game, and they would go down the other end and score. That was 3 or 4 years ago, and he doesn't appear to have learned. So I do agree with you. He needs to sort that out. And you go on to say Fernandes has been good for United, but I think it may have been a wise decision to sacrifice him for the greater good. That we will sell him for big bucks now. Ooh. It's always risky getting rid of quite clearly your best player. All right. Kobe should be more goal side of Gravenberch on that pass from Van Dijk. Maybe not, because he's not. He's protecting the center of the pitch, and if he goes goal side of Gravenberch, he breaks the structure of the press. Because, as I tried to point out earlier, doesn't matter whether people around. Well, it kind of does, but it's not as important whether people around you are as keeping that line intact. So it's very similar to a back four, all right? Like, you've obviously got to go with your runners and things, but the key thing is that you have a structure and a hierarchy of how things are done. Crazy how a left foot can embarrass us so much. Never had an issue with Irwin years ago. Maybe we should try Ahmad. Wide left, Garnacho down the right. No, you want your wingers to be inverted. It gives you more options in attack. It gives you better crossing angles, gives you better combinations. It allows you to attack on diagonals. That means you're moving through different zones. There is a reason why every top club does it and has done it for about 10 years. Like, a left footer on the left-hand side, very rare. Right footer, very rare. And there's a reason why. Vincent, Casemiro, of course, them 2 goals are going. The second goal, David De Gea would save that easily. Also, Casemiro, when time soon as he comes off, what was all that about? I think it was a lie, Vincent. The Daily Mail reported that Casemiro stormed off at halftime, but my dad, in a frantic text message about some Sudoku he was doing earlier today, told me that wasn't true. And also, but have you seen what De Gea did yesterday?
De Gea?
Yeah.
Is he playing for Fiorentina now, is he?
Yeah.
I don't know. Did he make a mistake?
No, he made genuinely 3 or 4 world-class saves, like genuinely world-class, but extraordinary saves. Like, back to that kind. Do you remember when he just kept Arsenal out?
Yeah, of course.
It looked like that, like saving point-blank headers full stretch from 2 yards. Shout out to De Gea. Well done, Matt. All right. I have another clip to show you. And this is, unfortunately, this involves Casemiro. So just let me load everything up. All right, remember to like and subscribe this electric content. Oh, move you. Okay, 8th minute, Amondo. Yaba, sorry. Xerxes is just tidying the ball up. Both teams are out of shape because there's been a bit of counter pressing. Talk me through this, please.
Okay, so Xerxes got the ball, he's facing our goal. He's popped it back to Delit, and it's gone home to Onana. It's back to Delit here, and we're trying to get back in shape. Maz has got it on the right back position, plays it inside to Kobe, gets to return. Nice triangles there, and recycled it. And that's a long, well, back to Martinez, back to Delit. And what's on here, he's got Casemiro just standing still and gets pinched almost. But
and then just boots it.
Okay. This is what, 8th minute? Oh, 8th minute, yeah.
Yep.
So I do like a bit of a play at the back, just moving the ball around, waiting for options, but it looks a bit panicky, even by the animation. Liverpool set up well, and that ball played inside. Was it pinched? I'm sure.
Yeah, it was. But Kobe tidied it up, and then Casemiro just booted it to VVD. All right. So the reason that I've kind of shown this is it's something that Steph mentioned earlier, which is that Liverpool, right? I know that this is technical language and it's very boring. Technically, what Liverpool are using here is a space-based press, and what that means is they're much narrower, essentially, so that they're going to get really, really tight in the centre because those are their zones, and they're going to leave your space out wide. And it's not dependent on where their teammates are. That's the key thing. It doesn't matter where their teammate is. They've got a zone that they've got to go to. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So we get it to Kobe. Good on Maz for not getting ahead of Kobe. Okay. And we should be out here. I am stunned that we never see that. Do you see this pass to Delo from Onana?
For sure.
How often do we see that pass?
Well,
you can see it, can't you? That's the ball. Knock it. Onana should be.
Why didn't he play it? Was there any issue when you were watching the game live, or
no? And the thing is, he does it. He never plays it. I've noticed it because I always talk about City's fullback switch from the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
we don't do it, and I want to know what this is. Is this a technical issue with Onana? Is this because Delo is left-footed on the right wing? Is he too far up? What is the issue? Because that's the pass, but instead he plays it to Martinez, who has 3 men on him, and Martinez widens the pitch. And look where Salah is. Do you see how narrow he is?
Yeah.
Gravenberch is the right-sided central midfielder, so he's the one that is going to have to peg it to Delo if we switch the ball. But Jota has now shut off the pass to Onana. Diaz and Slobosai or whatever, everyone's around Kobe, and they're all around Casemiro. Our 2 players that are free are Delo and Rashford, and they're completely out of the game. So no way to get the ball to them. So when you look back at this ball coming here, look at Salah's position. It's got to be to Delo. But as it continues, right, so we pop it out. There's no option for Delict anymore. And look at the Liverpool team. Look where Salah is. That's their right winger. Look how narrow he is. Jota shutting the ball off. Diaz applying the pressure. Like Slobosai and McAllister around Kobe. Salah and Gravenberch waiting for Casemiro. And Delict, what he really, really wants is Xerxes to be in Bruno's position so he can just boot it.
Yeah.
But there's just nothing there. And this is the result of us not being able to pass out to our fullbacks. And I don't understand why we're not doing it, but it's happened so often. It can't be a
That
coincidence.
surely is the plan, to give us the width, because the width is from our fullbacks. Is it a case that Liverpool slot is set up well and put us under pressure? There's an opportunity to do it there, like you say.
Watch Deleu. Right. Watch Deleu. Okay. So when we start off here, Deleu's playing as a pivot. Okay. Do you see him between Salah and Gravenberch?
Yeah.
Right. Look at the movement of Deleu and Martinez.
Yeah.
That's a rotation. Okay. The idea is
why hasn't Onana played it to him? This is
I don't know, and he never does it.
I think sometimes Onana gets the ball and waits. He jockeys. He takes time, and when he could just play it simpler, he seems to be sort of trying to suck people in sometimes or faking a pass. But that, in hindsight, that is a poor pass to play into Casemiro in those sort of areas. Casemiro kind of deals with it okay.
Well, he doesn't. He gets pinched. Like it's luck that it breaks to Kobe. Liverpool looking for this. They're looking for this. They're relying here on Gravenberch to be able to get out to Deleu, right, when it goes. But instead, he sends it out to Martinez, and little Martinez has absolutely no chance of doing anything but giving that to De Ligt.
Yeah.
He's not, even Martinez isn't going to be like twirling and stuff. And it goes out. So when Steph brought up left-footed fullback, a right footer on the left, is this some weird pragmatic thing that Ten Hag is doing where he's like, we can't give Deleu the ball because he won't receive it to his far foot. He's going to receive it to his near foot, which invites a press traditionally.
Yeah, of course. That's a good point. Very good point. We can only speculate, but the option is there to play the pass. It's not like it's hidden.
Okay. What am I doing? I've got to press stop sharing, haven't I? There we go. I'm really on full. All right. Have we got any comments? We deserve better. De Gea also shipped 7 versus Liverpool. Yeah, that is true. And do you remember they kept targeting that space between his knee and his hand because he sort of, it's almost like an animation in a computer game when he goes down like that. I remember Gakpo did it like 2 or 3 times, and I thought, I bet they practiced that week. But that's the kind of level of detail I wish United had. It's very annoying that we still need another midfielder. Ugarte isn't enough, and United will need another goalkeeper. Onana is a very poor shot stopper. I mean, you've got to think, perish the thought, Yabba, but I would suspect that the next manager that comes in will look at Anthony, Martinez, Onana, and will need convincing.
Yeah, of course. Especially, those 3 and a few others, mind you.
Yeah.
But those 3 for sure.
What do people think about Rashford in the chat? Is he coming on the inside and taking the easy option because of Ten Hag's instructions, or is he simply low on confidence? For me, Tyrone, last year, all I heard was people saying that Rashford runs down blind alleys. He doesn't assist. He doesn't pass. He just cares about shooting. Yesterday, I saw him put 2 on a plate for Xerxes, keep the ball and not run down. And the only time he didn't even really run down a blind alley. He just didn't do very well against Trent when he went on the outside. So I don't know what people really want, because he's tracking back, he's working, he's not on form, but his kind of base level of performance is wildly higher this year than it was last year. So I think, I'm not a huge fan of Rashford either, but I think people have been very unfair on him because he's doing exactly what they asked him to do last year. Yabba?
Yeah, I think, like I was looking today, I've heard that he was provided crosses and, for other people to score. So people are praising him for that. But they want more from him. I think Rashford's, because he's raised the bar, he's one of the most prolific guys when he scored those goals a couple of seasons. People have got a high expectation for him, and when he hasn't performed and when he's not looked like he's got that confidence and thing, people will get on his back. That's what's happening. I said yesterday he needs to go, and I do think he needs to leave the club because I can't see, no matter what we do, that he's going to get any better. or produce. Like I said yesterday, Mane, Diaz come to Liverpool, two players that clearly for me are more effective for their team than Rashford's been for us.
Well, this was something I was thinking about bringing up. But when we talk about the winger press earlier, like the 7 and the 9, you always hear about players like Rafael Leao, Nico Williams, Vinicius Jr. I would be very, very surprised if any of them have the intensity to do that press in the Premier League. Like Mane is head and shoulders above a lot of these players because not only did he have the skills, he had the athleticism and the physicality to do it, to contribute to the defensive stuff. So and this doesn't make them bad players, right? But with like Leao and Nico Williams and players like that I'm not convinced can do a good press for 90 minutes. You need to get someone in that can cover their running. And the question that we've kind of got to now is, do we get someone in to cover Rashford's running? Because he is hampering himself working so hard because just of the, fast twitch muscles, all that kind of stuff. And people are saying he's lost pace and he's lost a yard. A lot of that is just because of the defensive work that you kind of have to do, as well as the injuries.
But we remember a few years ago, he was playing in the back five at some points with Mourinho. He was having to work hard and get back. It's just,
Mourinho dropped him. He hated him.
But he was playing, and sometimes he was asked to track all the way back, So there's no license for, luxury players in the Premier League or for Man United. Everyone has to put a shift in. And unfortunately for Rashford, if he hasn't got the energy to do the business when he's in the final third because he's been tracking back with defensive work, then that, to me, that's an excuse. You need to get fitter, sharper, or more intelligent, or go and play for a team that will allow you to sort of do that. But
that's why I think he needs to go.
That's why I think when I look at Diaz, you talk about the energy. Yeah. Diaz pinched the ball, was effective, scored 2 goals, pinched Casemiro. That's the work he does in a certain zone where he switches on to right, bam, and he's got his teammates around him to back him.
Like Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, exactly. This show, tonight's show, has just highlighted that for the structure behind that. If you're pressing correctly, you've got a team behind you. As we just showed in that last slide animation of Liverpool, how there's so many players in and around the Man United. So if we did turn over the ball and put the work
we are done. Yeah.
Yeah. We were done. So it's all right doing it, but when you're doing it when you narrow the pitch and you've got enough players around, you can do your work, you can hustle and do your work and get away with it because you don't have to be Rashford who's running back like 60-yard sprints, gas you out. Diaz is doing little shuttle things, short, quick runs, which is going to be keep him, sharp throughout the whole game.
Well, I was just thinking there, I genuinely think the last luxury player to win the Premier League was probably David Silva. City definitely covered his pressing in his last year or two at the club. And from what I've seen of Cole Palmer and people saying, why did Chelsea get rid of him? I think it's because he's bloody dreadful at putting pressure on the ball. And it doesn't matter how good you are, you've got to work as part of a team. And I think that's what's stopping Palmer from being one of the best in the world in his career, in my opinion, is that he just doesn't seem to have the work ethic off the ball. But we'll see. Maybe under Maresca, maybe under Lee Carsley, he'll bloom. But that's the big difference between him and Foden for me, is that Foden is a little crackhead and and Palmer's a pothead.
Good one.
All right. Hello to Nick Knack. Oh God, we've got you guys next if you're a Southampton fan. So bad luck for that, hopefully, but God knows what you'll do. Sure, you bring out, is it 6-3 Southampton, 95 with the grey shirt?
Grey shirts, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Liverpool in the second half just took the piss and the Clueless had no plan. What does he do to blame? What does he do? He blames the players. He publicly humiliates Casemiro, in my view. We don't know what went on in that dressing room, and it might have been the best thing to do. But you've always got to be careful with powerful players doing that, because I have a feeling the Brazilians at our football club Antony and Casemiro are ready for a revolution. They do not seem happy with Erik ten Hag at the moment. And, there might be, their Portuguese speakers might be friends with Bruno and Delo. And, you never know how these things spread. Andrew Williams is in the house. Hello. The manager was very clueless yesterday that he blamed Harry Potter. Good one, Vincent. Do you know what he's talking about?
I heard the comment about Harry Potter. Like, what do you expect? Magic? I think that's what he's trying to say. But it's just a joke.
Yeah, well, he's like, yes, it's a joke from Vincent. I enjoyed it, Vincent. Don't listen to Yappa.
Over my head, Vince. Sorry. Good
evening, gents. Bad result at the weekend, but at least Ugate's player to look forward to. Double agent Casemiro must not play again. We've also got 21 likes.
Thank you.
Fair enough, bath time. Perhaps Rashford has become an easy target. I'm going to go easy on him. Booing him is a bit unfair too. Yeah, but boo him as a team, to be honest. Unless, what I will say is that one thing that has always marked my card with Marcus Rashford is that performance against Villarreal in the UEFA League
Cup final. Yeah.
I honestly. Mane ran his something off. He certainly did. Cole Palmer is terrible off the ball. I agree. And we've got 22 likes. All right. Well, you're not going to like the next bit because the next bit is Kobe getting pinched. Okay. And this is relating to fullbacks. So just let me check that I've got the right link. I just wish... Brilliant. I wish this thing would work. Okay, it is working. All right, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it. Kobe made it.
All right, 55th minute. There's 2 balls on the pitch. Don't worry about it. All right, you ready? De Ligt's got the ball.
Yep. So De Ligt's got the ball here. Send it back. Plays it wide to Maz. He cuts inside to Kobe. Picks up the ball with his back to goal. And he plays a ball. Ooh. He gives it away. And now they're in on goal. And they scored. Okay, all right. Okay, this was the goal. It's, so the ball inside here. Kobe is facing that way. Somehow he's given the ball away.
He's been tackled by McAllister.
I
haven't animated it.
Yeah. So he's pinched there.
Yeah.
I can't recall, but why was he pinched? Was he hold on to the ball too long like Casemiro? Or
well, look how many players are around him. Where are you going?
Yeah. Well done, Jota, for sort of screening off De Ligt.
Yeah, this kind of shows the difference in what's going on, because here, right, my initial thought is again about the fullbacks. They're too high here, both of them, Mazraoui and Delo. But also, I don't like this quadrangle, this square over here between Xerxes, Rashford, Delo, and Toby Collier. I think it's too disconnected from the middle of the pitch.
Right.
And really, the only thing that you can do here if you're De Ligt is you can go home, or you could probably hit it to Xerxes and see if he can win the ball, and you got Toby Collier for second ball. But it kind of dallies a little bit. There's no real pass. Maz is too far ahead of the ball. Yep. He has to be deeper here. Like, do you remember Matty Bassett was talking about how one of his fullbacks goes into a 3 and the other one gets up the pitch? Matty Bassett's football team's more organised than Manchester United at this point in the game. So it gets played to Mazraoui. Send it to your goalkeeper. You've got to send it. You've got to send it to your goalkeeper. And again, like, do you see how narrow Salah is?
Yeah.
Right? So look at Delo and Rashford and Toby Collier, to be honest. That we've got to be getting it out to them. But instead, Mazraoui plays it inside. Jota is going to shut off the pass from De Ligt. Slob is going to shut off the pass to Martinez. Kobe, maybe with a bit more experience, somehow magics a foul up here, or chips it to Onana, or as I like to do, just boot it out of play and shout at my fullback. Yeah, because you know,
That's a good one.
yeah. Well, no, you have to do it sometimes.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, do you know what I mean? You look like an absolute dickhead, but you've got to boot it out and then just go and start shouting at someone. But Diaz's work is so good because Mazraoui isn't showing enough desire to create an angle. Diaz is shutting it off. McAllister is coming in, and look at that. There are 6 Liverpool players in a line around him. And you talked earlier on about what happened if the ball had broken better for Liverpool when they pinched Casemiro. The ball breaks for them here. McAllister gets it. It goes to Jota. Dalot too far forward. He's not going to catch Salah from here. Mazraoui too far forward. Diaz and Jota are gone. De Ligt and Martinez. I mean, I think De Ligt's on a yellow card at this point, but really your only hope here is basically a shirt pull. Salah, look at that. They like Martinez. There's not really much, to be honest, that he can do here. There's not much that De Ligt can do here. We're just done. We're absolutely done. Onana's positioning is absolutely terrible, but Salah is one of the best, if not the best, right winger in the world. And we have a real organisational problem here because I think I'll actually show you what I think later. But Rashford and Dalot, I don't think that this is the fault of the players. I think that this is a structural coaching issue. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's tough because it's about giving the ball away, isn't it? And then when you do give the ball away, like you said at the start of the show, sometimes when you attack, like we're trying to attack there, you also have to defend. And we've given the ball away in a dangerous area. And, there's a lot of things you can pick out here. Should he have played the pass inside to someone? But you get trust with Kobe, don't you? You look at Kobe, I'm popping it into him. He can manage the ball. It's like with Eriksen, you can play it into him. Certain players you're used to. If that was Dalot in the middle there, or Wan-Bissaka, as it used to be, I doubt they would play that pass into him. So it's a mistake. He's been pinched. It just reminds you again, don't give someone the ball in those sort of areas. But sometimes I saw Kobe many times in that game, or many times in previous games, get the ball in tight areas and come away with it and say, what was all the problem about? What was all the fuss about? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I do agree. When looking back, we always talk about the rest defense. When they do turn over the ball, you don't want to be seeing 4-on-3 in that situation. So Toby Collier, we're 2-0 down. I remember a couple of years ago when we lost 7-0, it was a decision. We should have been a bit more conservative. We're losing the game at this point. Maybe still need to be a bit more conservative. Kobe should be. I know when he came on the pitch, he was ahead of Kobe Mainu. Toby was, and I think Toby should have just sat back a little bit and create that same box.
I think Bruno should have as well. Like if you look like Kobe and Toby are young men learning their trade who are extremely talented and will have excellent careers, but they don't have enough experience to draw upon. So they need to borrow some, essentially. Like they need to be talked through the game. Like Bruno and Xerxes should be they should be telling Toby where to be, or they should just go and help him out. Like Xerxes he's allowed to roam. He's allowed to drop into midfield. Bruno should be in the bloody midfield. But look, there are 4 men in an acre of space there for Liverpool. This is so incredibly dangerous because part of their tactic is basically to just be so incredibly narrow and compact off the ball that if you lose the ball, they're going to absolutely do you. And they do us. They absolutely do us here.
Wow.
It's bad. Should we look at some comments?
Yeah.
Have we got any comments? Anyone watching?
There's a few here. Tyrone's talking and Nick Knack as well. There's a few you can see right here.
Right. 4-on-3, correct. Absolutely disgraceful Nick Knack from Professional Football Club. United couldn't handle Salah yesterday. Now, normally, Andrew, I would say, lots of teams can't handle him. That there's no shame in being done by a world-class player. But it was pretty telling when Keno spoke to him and said, "Could you believe how easy it was?" And he just started laughing because it was just ridiculously easy for him all the time. Look, Tyrone is essentially echoing what I said. Problem is the ball went to Mainu, but instead of offering themselves up, the United players Scarpa. Yes, they're too disconnected. And you weren't here early on, Nick Matt, but we were talking about how in football, when you're attacking, you also need to be defending. And when you're defending, you also need to be attacking. So if you have so many men so far away from your players, if they lose the ball, there's no one there to recover, to counter-press, and so on. So once again, even though United's pressing structure has in theory improved because we're protecting the centre of the pitch more, Erik ten Hag's obsession with width, especially from his fullbacks, means that there's not enough men to help out when there's a mistake, and there's always going to be a mistake from players. You can't avoid it. Like prime Barcelona, Xavi, Busquets, Iniesta, they lost the ball. But instead he's talking about effing Harry Potter. We need to players sitting deep, CDM, deep lying playmaker, not rocket science. I'm not a fan of deep lying playmakers, Taro. I'll tell you why. It's a bias. Comes from Italy. Italians traditionally always put their best passer as the deepest midfielder. That's why Pirlo went from number 10 to number 6. That's why Jorginho is a number 6. I don't like it because I'm of the belief it's really easy to do that stuff. It's easy to get the ball off a defender and give it to a fullback. That's not difficult. What's difficult is opening up a defence higher up the pitch. And that's where you want your best passer. And that's why I want Kobe further up the pitch where he can use all of that technical ability receiving in tight places. I don't want, it's like if we had Odegaard or something, we'd probably try and turn him into Matic. Why did Kobe not play the forward pass to Bruno in that example? Even if they lose the ball, playing forward, we have a better chance. It's because he's receiving the ball with his back to goal. And earlier on, Matty, do you remember we talked about how the fullbacks, they can't get ahead of the player because if the player receives it with his back to goal, he can't play that pass. That's what happened to Kobe there, and they didn't work hard enough, in particular Mazraoui and De Ligt, to get on angles to give him a ball out, and they allowed the Liverpool players to close it down. So I'm not blaming someone like Kobe Mainoo, a 19-year-old, for being brave enough to get on the ball because not everyone was in that game. I'm talking about Bruno. Nick Nack, spot on. I said this earlier. The players need to be more compact. I don't know why Ten Hag sets the team up like this. It needs to be compact and narrow, especially against Liverpool. Yeah. A 90% passer gives the ball away every 1 out of 10 times. Quick maths. I'm with you. United will never challenge for the title with Bruno in the team. I don't think he's the biggest problem, though, Andrew. I think you're looking at the guy sitting in the dugout. I think that just the general quality of our player is decent, but certainly not good enough. I like Mazraoui. I like Delo. I thought De Ligt looked good, but a lot of them wilted yesterday. A lot lack the character to be there for the hard yards, in my opinion. And Bruno is someone I think in a good environment would be good. It's just he's such a drama queen that I think he needs a real leader around him. I wouldn't mind Mainu up the pitch, but it means Fernandes will need to play deeper. Yeah, I'm still expecting Bruno Fernandes to end up on the right wing for a decent chunk of this season at some point, but we'll see how that goes. Yam, we all got gas and our window was still not good enough. It appears that Lucky Singh has taken over Andrew Williams there, but I think he's saying yes, we all got gassed about our window and it still wasn't good enough. All right, do I have anything left here? Yes, so I brought this up about where's the switch? Because this is a bit of homework for you, Yabba. I want to know if this is something that I am overestimating, or it could be the Pollyanna effect or something. But I only saw one switch from Onana in that game, and I think I rarely see switches from him. I want us to be honest.
Onana, I think we talked about De Ligt coming into the team, being a good passer of the ball. Didn't see anything from him yesterday. Didn't have the opportunity to sort of switch to play. It is a dangerous pass to make. We saw Casemiro try and switch to play with a pass out wide. It was in his head. He couldn't pull back. He hit the pass and it was cut out, and they went and scored. So the intention is there. It's just about how to do it. I remember you saying in one of the shows, if you want to switch to play, you either switch it with a long ball, if you've got the Scholes ability to switch it like that, or Maguire, for example, or you recycle it through your defence and then turn it, it takes a bit longer, but pass it a bunch of defence, which we have done. We've seen in some of the animations as well, we're able to do that. So, I can clearly say, maybe, I wouldn't say there's an issue with Onana. I just think it's about consistency. And I'm sure they're going over this right now, to improve all these situations. But that's the intention, isn't it? A lot of these teams, like with Man City, we played them. We didn't give them anything down the middle, but we allowed them to switch to play and gave it to them wide a lot of the time, to their wide men.
Yeah.
It was okay. They got it there. They got it there a few times. They're able to do it. So it's about going over and over and over things until you get it right. I read something today. It was really interesting about Saki. Remember?
Arrigo Saki.
Yeah, Arrigo Saki. And his training methods used to have 11 on the pitch on their own, without no ball and without no opposition. And get them and just shout at them and say, right, get over the other side, give them instructions over and over again. I remember Real Madrid, I was reading this, Real Madrid went to watch them. They were due to play Real Madrid, this Milan side. And Real Madrid went to watch them and laughing and saying, it's crazy. They had 11 guys on the pitch, no ball and no opposition in the training ground. And they were just, Saki was just screaming at them, running back and forth like donkeys. And they ended up winning 5-0. So it's not always the ball stuff. It shows you off the ball stuff, how to get in position. If you've got someone like Saki screaming at you, which Ten Hag or the coaches should be doing, you should be able to create more angles and more drills to get players in position early so we can get it out wide. Somehow we need to do that. And I think you made some really good points today about the switch, especially, and how to do it. And there's many ways to do it, but you just got to keep working on it. And rather than, you asked me at the start of the show, has my head turned or have I changed my mind? No, it hasn't. This show has just shown me again that the intentions of it is just about putting the theory into practice.
Yeah, but you've also very, very recently said that Casemiro gets a switch wrong and they score a goal. We're not set up properly. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, let's see what some people are saying here. Oh, I don't like this. The switch is kind of useless when the fullback and the winger are right next to each other, high and wide. There's nothing wrong with players like overloading, which is essentially what you're saying, that overloading a space. As long as the ball can get to them safely, it's fine. But the issue is that, so the reason why I bring up Onana is that, where do you switch the ball from, Yabba?
Sorry, I was reading the comments.
Oh, okay. Like the best place to switch a ball from on the pitch?
I'd say centrally to switch it. Yeah.
So this is why I bring up Onana, because Onana's not filling in at right centre back or something. He's always going to be essentially central. And De Ligt, a lot of the time, was sort of not in a fullback position, but an outside centre back position. And although Maguire is excellent at the switch from there, Maguire is extremely good at that. He's one of the best in world football at that particular pass. And you don't want to rely on players hitting that pass because you've got to clear a lot of men to do it. Whereas in the centre of the pitch, you've got more angles and less distance to hit. So, and also, one of the reasons you switch from the centre is because the block's got to come over to you, and sometimes there's a gap in that block, and you can get it through the lines. So you always want to switch from the centre. And have I got anything else? Yeah, takeaways. This is what I came up with for like my conclusion. If they are playing with a minimum 3 in the front line, right?
Yeah.
So 4-3-3 press, for example, our fullbacks have got to be deeper. They're too high and they're too wide.
Okay.
Right, and you need an extra man there. So either make a 3 like Matty Bassett does and stick one in as a pivot or something. There's got to be a change, because it's an open secret now that the position of the fullbacks was targeted by Slot. Okay, so the new press. Hello, Richard.
Hi, Rich.
The new press, the chain press, is more about keeping structure and looking for pressing traps than the full-blooded runabout, follow people all over the pitch stuff. I'm not a fan of the chain press, but it's far, far, far superior to man marking, players getting dragged all over the pitch, which is generally, I think, the worst structural setup you can have in a football match. And I think that this is the reason why our fullbacks are too high, because with the chain press, we're protecting the centre of the pitch. We're not allowing passes in, so we're giving up the wide areas. And in order for the fullbacks to be in a position to kind of snap on their man and pinch the ball, they've got to be starting higher up. So I'm slightly concerned that the reason that we're struggling with the position of fullbacks is based on this new organisation. And the other thing is that we didn't talk about, but it's about the running that Kobe Mainu has to do. This zonal press, like where we're taking our relation, we're basically taking our position from our teammate.
Mm-hmm.
That means that central midfielders are going to run more than wingers. So when we're doing the winger press, the 7 and the 9, we're exerting lots of pressure on our wide players to get out and come back. Now, this new press, we're exerting a lot on the central midfielders. They've got to cover up and down. They've got to move across, because unlike Liverpool's press, we're not getting that far. We're not getting the weak side winger like tucked in as much as they are. So does that make sense? Because
it certainly does. I mean, the overwhelming factor for me is like the fullbacks. We're referring to the Liverpool game, like you said, there's an outlet about not being too ahead of the pivot. We saw the mistakes when the balls were played centrally, or when 2 of the goals, Casemiro sort of give the ball away once, and another time he was pinched centrally. Kobe Mainu was pinched centrally. So it's a struggle against the elite Liverpool side who are able to sort of pin us in and not pin us in, but get around us and stop us. And that's how they scored their goals. Apart from that ball from Van Dijk where they played them through the middle of the park, I thought we were quite successful with them playing through us. It's only when they sort of turned over the ball, when we've made mistakes, that, and that's why I'm looking at it. And I just think overall, keep working on the training ground, improving the structure, the shape, and keep working on things. And just don't, if you quit now and say, all right, we're going to scrap up this system and try something different, I don't think that's going to work. I think I can see more progress with this one, the way we're doing, compared, because at the start of the show, you showed the old way, pressing with the wide, the 11 and the 7, and that left us exposed a lot of the time. I think this one's better option for us. So persist with this one, and then we might see results and might get fans on side again if we start getting results from that. So I'm quite, bath time. I wasn't sure, because I've been at work all day. I wasn't sure how I'd feel, after this show. But I'm more optimistic now. And, you always sound positive, but I am. Realistically, I could break it down now. I can see why. Okay, we just got to work on things a bit more. This is new to us, new players as well. Give us some time, and hopefully in a couple of months we'll be flying and kicking off again.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of a definite plan, but one of my worries about yesterday is that I said at the start of the season that Xerxes, he's not a bag man, is he? You're not getting 25 goals a season out of Xerxes. He's only scored like 50 in his career. So he's coming in to facilitate other people around him to score goals. I'm a little bit dodgy on that because I don't like playing with a false nine myself. And I think that for a team that hasn't scored over 60 goals for 3 years, I would prefer a more traditional goal scorer. But what worried me yesterday is that instead of Xerxes providing for Rashford, it was Rashford providing for Xerxes. And I'm not like, I am extremely reactionary, obviously. I'm also capricious and a hypocrite. But I think that I've kind of seen what the plan is. I don't like it. It's better than last year, no doubts about that. But I don't think that it's going to be a success. And the second that he changes it to something else, I think is the moment I know he's done.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Stick with it, man. Let's stick with it and see how we get on. And let's get the fans now need to just get behind it. Because I think a lot of fans don't understand what they're seeing. All they're saying is, we've got no style of play. We've got no tactics. We're clueless and all these things. But clearly, when you break it down like you have, there is something there. So
yeah, it's not up to fans to understand like
they should.
What's going on.
Should. I think it's responsibility of fans to know. You take your son to the game. What are you going to say to your son?
Oh, well, it should be like a shared experience between you.
But you need to say to your son, the reason they're doing A, B, and C is because this is how we're going to progress. So watch the game. This is what I'll be saying to my son. I'm sure you'll be saying the same to your son if you go to watch the game. You don't just go there to say, boo, boo, Rashford, everybody, boo.
I do enjoy booing people, especially millionaires. I don't want to live in a world where I can't boo a millionaire or a politician for fun. But I definitely wouldn't have booed like Rashford yesterday. I wouldn't have booed the sub. I'd have booed Eric. I'd have booed those bloody apple pies if they're still as hot as I remember, and the rats, the literal rats, not the Glazers. But the thing is no, I'm not with you on this. It's not the responsibility of a football fan to go there, sit down, study it, and work out what's going on, because you only get it through experience. Like you need to play in order to understand what's going on.
Half time, I think it's the culture of the English football. You go and watch. You watch games abroad. You go to Spain every year and watch the La Liga. I've been to La Liga. I've watched Barcelona several times in the new camp, and they applaud certain things. The fans seem to, be a bit more patient and be a bit more understanding, knowledgeable of the game, and they applaud things that they wouldn't.
They're not
over here. That's to my observation, anyway.
They're not. I promise you, I've lived in Spain. They are not more knowledgeable than their football fans. The same everywhere.
But the game is different. The game is different in Spain to what it is
here. Yeah, things are valued differently. That's true. But the level of education is pretty much the same, because only a certain amount of people can play a certain level where you even begin to get the first understanding of this stuff. Like tonight, there will be thousands of people saying Eric Ten Hag, like slots, videos explained and stuff. And I would think less than 5% have played in a chain press, or they understand what it is. So all they're really doing is regurgitating things that other people have told them. And that's not education. That's being a parrot. Yeah. So I'm not sitting here and let's say Andrew would not say he's a footballer, right? He's thrown up on a pitch after missing a penalty. He subbed himself on to take or something, right? But I'm not saying that because he hasn't done a rondo that he should go out and educate himself on football. It's up to him if he wants to or not. And the relationship between the crowd and the players and the team is more the responsibility of the team than the players, to be honest, than the fans. Like if you put in the effort, if you put in hard work, and you run about and you show commitment and effort and all these things, it doesn't matter if someone's there going, oh, he's a little bit late, or he's missed that pressing trigger. Oh, that's not Regista-like play. It doesn't matter. It's up to the team to build a connection with the fans, not the fans to do homework. For me.
Okay. Well, I think it's really thoroughly insightful for me. watching this. I didn't really, when we watched the game, watching it with passion and emotion, and I did take some stuff in, but my take on it would have been 3 mistakes led to the goals. But obviously, you've opened me up more to other factors of how we're playing our football, the meaning of what Slot was saying there, and you detailed it brilliantly. So I've got far more understanding of it after the show. So really good show, Bath Time. Thank you again.
Yes, thank you. We've lost a sub. Shout out to Bruno, fake Bruno.
I mean, it's Anyway,
and like Rich, what have you been saying? I have started some of your comments. I wonder if Slot's words will make Erik ten Hag change anything. I doubt it. I mean, I don't know what you thought, Yabba, but when Erik ten Hag called Shearer an idiot, I had my head in my hands. Like that's the best Premier League striker ever. Doesn't matter what he said. You got to give him respect when he's telling a young striker how to score goals.
I didn't hear that. When did he call him an idiot?
In a press conference, they asked him, "What did you think about Alan Shearer saying that Rashford is 27 now? He's not a child. When he looks down the line, he's got to understand the position to not be offside. He's offside too much, and he shouldn't be at his age."
Maybe you should say Rashford's an idiot then.
Yeah.
They basically disagreed. I think it's been very defensive lately. I've seen with Ten Hag in interviews. It's understandable.
Yes, he's very sassy. Like since the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
All right, double A. Need to close up the gaps when both fullbacks are too high. Yeah, but it's with whom, isn't it? I suppose. I don't know. People always like the idea of 3 at the back. I'm telling you now, it's dreadful formation. You're like only defenders will ever say play 3 at the back because your rest attack and all these other little things that allow you to score goals are nullified. But I'm not a huge fan of your width being supplied from a fullback. Do you know what I mean? Like someone like, all right, maybe someone like Dennis Irwin, fine. But the majority of fullbacks are fullbacks for a reason.
Well, I don't know, because I think if you're playing a 3, like we were building up from the 3 at the back, the width is going to come from the fullbacks. You've seen with the setup we've got right now, Rashford and Garnacho yesterday were sort of quite narrow. They weren't hugging touch lines or outlet.
That's why I don't like it.
Yeah, possibly. By the way, big up to Maz. I thought Maz in tight areas he played good football.
Yeah, he did all right. I wasn't happy with him on the Kobe goal, but what he did was he showed a bit of courage yesterday. He's definitely him and De Ligt definitely Manchester United players.
Yeah.
Right. Ineos will be regretting their decision. They may have just not found the manager they really want yet. Yeah, I mean, like, look, Rich, they're not. You don't get to be Britain's richest man ever by just being wild and going off your emotions. And I bet you Ratcliffe, on his way to his mansion, was thinking, "What the f have I done?" Like, literally, I could get an AI to manage a team better than this. But I woke up this morning and I'd have thought, we've got a plan. We're going to stick with it. These are the failure conditions. These are success conditions. He's got one till the next international break, and if it's not in place, they'll give it to Rude or Darren Fletcher or something. And got anything here? It's about Shearer. I like Shearer. I always wonder if United would have won more Champions Leagues if he'd come in, but then Cole and Solskjaer might not have had the careers they had at United. Look, the only person that should be regretting that transfer not happening is Alan Shearer. We did all right, boys, without him. I hated him when he was playing. He was just too good at Blackburn. He was out. I think Shearer is a little bit like the best Ronaldo, like R9, where even when like everything physically about him had gone, he was still he was still able to score goals. Scoring goals is so incredibly difficult that you just have to be amazing at doing it. And like he was crocked at Newcastle for 3 or 4 years and like won 3 golden boots in a row, like Premier League's highest scorer ever. Like look at someone like Rooney, outrageous talent. He after his injuries and stuff, he kind of faded and he had moments, but he wasn't able to do it. Shearer was outrageous. And he wasn't.
Shearer won his goal scoring titles when he was at Blackburn.
Yeah. Well, no, he got one at Newcastle, I think.
I don't think he did.
He won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
So he got 2 at Blackburn and 1 at Newcastle.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
First season.
I don't think he did.
He did.
Oh, yeah. All right, maybe. Okay. First season, yeah. So 96.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Yeah.
You know what, Shearer, I've just noticed recently that he's quite small. He's not the biggest, but on the pitch, he seemed like
He's powerful.
Because he's so powerful, yeah. And when he was at Blackburn, he was a powerful runner as well. I remember they scored a goal. We played Blackburn, and he ran past Pallister, drove past him, and I thought, wow, he's quick as well.
Is Pallister the fastest at the club?
He was over 100 meters once he got his legs moving, yeah. Faster than Giggs as well. But yeah, so Shearer, top player. He's not that tall, but he could hold up the ball like Mark Hughes. Really,
And he had no signature moves. He wasn't particularly good at anything except for just scoring goals.
Yeah,
like outrageous. Some people would argue that Robbie Fowler was a more natural finisher than Shearer. Well, I don't know about 2-footed, but
just look, you know, it's a variety of finishes. Robbie Fowler, toe it into the net, chip it in, head it, just subtle, you know, through the legs of a defender.
Yeah,
just a brilliant variety finisher. I felt in that.
Maybe, but Shearer just did it for sort of 15 years or something like that. Like, you know, I really like Eddie Nketiah. Like, I thought he was going to be an absolutely great player.
Yeah, he's still.
But at his best, he's probably going to turn out as Jermaine Defoe, who also had a huge amount of range of finishes. But there's something about players like Shearer. They just, like Kane, I think, has tried to be a bit like Shearer, of just outrageous power when striking the football.
Yeah.
Like, amazing. Look, anyway, I promised Mr. B we weren't going to do too much. We actually finished 15 minutes ago. So I think I'm going to end it here. Thank you very much to everyone that watches. If you found anything useful or insightful in this program, please use it to bully people on YouTube talking absolute bullshit about stuff they don't understand. Use my experience to go and bully people. That's what I want. Best ever finisher, Lionel Messi. Not a sexy answer, but you can't really argue with that, can you? You got to put Ronaldo and Messi as 2 of the best ever.
For me, the best ever.
Romario.
How do you know I was going to say that?
Because you've said it before, yeah.
Oh my God, Romario for me,
my life,
the best ever finisher there is. Outstanding, yeah.
Like, yeah, toe pokes.
Yeah, just variety to do anyway. I mean, some of his goals, people don't know, man. People just don't know how good that guy is. Man.
Yeah, he was outrageous. There was a guy in Chile called Chupeta Suarez who was a bit of a sort of character like Romario, like not at all professional, like had the mental age of a 6-year-old. But my God, could he just any part of his body he could score with? It's like, do you remember
goal scorer forward, was he?
Yeah. Do you remember what Edmundo did to Gary Neville?
Yeah,
stuff like that every game, just off the cuff.
To Silvestri.
Was it Silvestri?
Yeah, Silvestri came down in. Absolutely.
All right. Right, listen up. Thank you all very much for watching. It's International Week. I've no idea what we're doing tomorrow, but we'll be back. There'll be quizzes and things. Remember that for those of you that we know you, which is pretty much everyone else here, anytime you want to come on, send me a message on the Twitter account at the Man United Agenda, and you can come on and have a fight. And I'm just going to clarify, you are not allowed to pretend to be employees of Manchester United Football Club. I don't want any Brunos or Dan Ashworths like role playing in the chat. Okay? Be yourselves and have a good evening.
Good night.
And let me find the button. That would have been a really good outro if I could find the outro thing. All right, just pretend I said that and then did this. Like a much.